everyone. Today we are going to discuss force and laws of motion, and topics we are going to cover are inertia and first law of motion. What is inertia? The natural tendency of undisturbed objects to stay at rest or to keep moving with the same velocity is called inertia. What is this? When an object is at rest, it will try to stay at rest. And when an object is moving, it will try to keep moving with the same velocity. This is the natural tendency of our body. And that tendency, that property is called inertia. You can understand this with the help of an example. Suppose there is a bus and that is at rest at present. And we are standing in the bus, waiting for the bus to start. Now the bus suddenly starts and we tend to fall backward. What is the reason to fall backward? Because earlier our body was at rest and the bus was at rest. But when the bus starts, our body falls backward because our body's natural tendency, it is trying to be at rest. It is trying to stay at rest. This is natural tendency of our body. Bus has started, but our body is still trying to be at rest. So it resists that change. What it is doing? It is resisting that change. You take another example. Suppose we are sitting in a car and car is moving. Person is sitting in a car and car is moving. And suddenly brakes are applied. So our body will try to resist this change. Our body will try to resist this stop. And this is the natural tendency of our body. And when the brakes are applied, we will fall forward. We will fall in the forward direction. You can take another example. Suppose we are moving in a car and the car takes a sudden turn. Our body will move in the other direction because our body will try to remain in the same direction and it will resist the change. And that property, that natural tendency of the body to stay at rest or to keep moving with the same velocity or to remain in the same direction, that tendency is called inertia. So I hope you have understood the concept of inertia. Our body resists any kind of change. And that is the natural tendency of our body. Now when you have understood the concept of inertia, you will easily understand what is first law of motion, because first law of motion is nothing but the same inertia. That is also called law of inertia. First law of motion states that an object remains in a state of rest or of uniform motion in a straight line unless compelled to change that state by an applied force. Unless, this is important, unless compelled to change that state by an applied force. What the statement is saying? The object will remain in a state of rest or it will be in uniform motion. Unless we force it, unless we compel it to stop or to move. That is called first law of motion. Suppose we throw a ball, it keeps on moving for some distance and after moving some distance, after traveling some distance, it finally stops. Why it stops? Because there is a frictional force opposing this ball to move. There is a frictional force acting in opposite direction of the motion of the ball. So this ball, after traveling some distance, it stops finally. What would happen if there is no frictional force and the surface is very smooth? This ball will continuously move. It will keep on moving all throughout the distance. But practically it is not possible to achieve. Frictional force always acting in the opposite direction of the motion of an object. So just understand what is happening here. Earlier the ball was moving continuously and what is compelling this ball to stop? The statement of first law says, unless compelled to change that state by an applied force. What is the applied force here? Here the applied force is this frictional force, which is stopping this ball. And if the surface is smooth, this surface is completely smooth, there is no friction, and then ball keeps on moving. But practically it is difficult to achieve. So there is some frictional force always acting to stop the motion of an object. First law of motion is also known as the law of inertia. So, dear students, I hope you have understood the concept of inertia and first law of motion. In our next class, we are going to discuss momentum and second law of motion. Thank you.